What if I told you that most of the things you believe about people are completely wrong? That the smile you see doesn't always mean happiness, and the silence you fear is not always anger, because human behavior is not random. It is controlled by deep psychological triggers that most people never notice. Every decision you make, every reaction you show, and even the people you are attracted to are silently influenced by hidden patterns of the human mind. Today, we are going to uncover those secrets, not theories, not guesses, but shocking psychology facts about human behavior that you were never taught in school. And most people go their entire lives without realizing. By the end of this, you will not look at people the same way again. Human behavior is far more complex than it appears on the surface. What we usually see in others is only the final result of a long internal process happening inside their mind. Every reaction, every word, and every emotional response is influenced by hidden psychological triggers that most people are completely unaware of. These triggers are shaped by past experiences, childhood conditioning, personal fears, unmet needs, and deeply stored beliefs in the subconscious mind. When a person reacts strongly, it is rarely just about the present moment. In reality, the mind is constantly connecting present situations with past emotional memories. A small comment today might remind someone of an old insult from years ago, causing an unexpectedly intense reaction. This is why two people can face the same situation but respond in completely different ways. Their internal psychological wiring is not the same. Understanding this truth changes the way you see people. Instead of quickly labeling someone as rude, emotional, or arrogant, you begin to realize that their behavior is often a reflection of internal struggles that you cannot see. This awareness develops emotional intelligence and patience. You stop reacting blindly and start responding thoughtfully. On a deeper level, this understanding also protects your own peace of mind. When you realize that behavior is driven by unseen psychological forces, you stop taking everything personally. You begin to observe instead of absorb. You become calmer in conflict and more stable in communication. Ultimately, this knowledge gives you a powerful shift in perspective. You start seeing human beings not as simple characters, but as complex emotional systems shaped by invisible psychological patterns. And once you see this truth clearly, judgment slowly turns into understanding and confusion turns into clarity. Most people believe personality is something fixed, like a permanent label that defines who someone is. But in reality, what we call personality is often just a collection of learned behaviors, emotional responses, and survival patterns developed over time. A person is not born fully formed in how they act, think, or react. Instead, they are shaped gradually by their environment, relationships, experiences, and even the emotional tone of the people they grow up around. This means that much of human behavior is adaptive. People learn how to behave in order to be accepted, to avoid pain, or to gain love and approval. Over time, these repeated behaviors become automatic, and they start to look like fixed personality traits. For example, someone who appears cold may have simply learned that showing emotion leads to rejection. Someone who seems overly confident may be compensating for deep insecurity. When you understand this, your perception of people changes completely. You stop seeing them as difficult or easy, good or bad, strong or weak. Instead, you begin to see them as individuals shaped by different life experiences. This awareness creates a deeper sense of empathy because you realize that most people are simply doing their best with the emotional tools they were given. It also improves communication. When you stop reacting to surface level behavior and start recognizing the deeper pattern behind it, you become more patient and strategic in how you respond. You no longer take everything personally because you understand that most reactions are not about you, they are about the other person's internal world. In the end, this truth is powerful because it gives you emotional maturity. It allows you to move beyond judgment and into understanding. And in that space of understanding, both relationships and personal growth begin to transform naturally. Emotions play a far more powerful role in human decision making than most people realize. While we often believe that we make choices based on logic, facts, and careful thinking, the truth is that emotions usually take the lead, and logic simply follows afterward to justify what the mind has already decided. This is how the human brain is naturally designed. It prioritizes emotional survival over rational analysis. Even in everyday situations, emotions silently influence behavior. A person may agree with something logically, but still reject it because it doesn't feel right. Another person may choose a difficult path simply because it gives them a sense of comfort, belonging, or validation. These emotional signals are processed faster than conscious thought, which means decisions are often made before we even realize we are making them. This is why people sometimes act in ways that seem confusing or inconsistent. From the outside, it may look illogical, but from within, there is always an emotional reason driving the behavior. Fear, desire, insecurity, love, pride, or past emotional wounds all play a role in shaping choices. Even silence, avoidance, or aggression can often be traced back to emotional protection mechanisms. Understanding this gives you a deeper level of insight into human nature. You begin to realize that to truly understand someone's actions, you must first understand their emotional state. What they feel is often more important than what they say. This awareness also helps you communicate more effectively because you stop focusing only on arguments and start connecting with feelings. On a personal level, this understanding is life-changing. It allows you to pause before reacting, to recognize your own emotional triggers, and to make more conscious decisions instead of impulsive ones. When you learn to observe emotions instead of being controlled by them, you gain true emotional intelligence, and that is where real control over your life begins. When you start learning psychology, the most powerful shift happens within yourself before it ever affects how you see others. You begin to realize that the same patterns you observe in people outside also exist within you. Your thoughts, reactions, fears, and desires are not random. They follow psychological rules that can be understood, managed, and improved. This self-awareness becomes the foundation of real personal transformation. Instead of reacting instantly to situations, you start observing your own mind. You notice how certain words trigger emotions, how specific situations activate old memories, and how your behavior changes under stress. This awareness creates space between stimulus and response, and in that space lies your power to choose a better reaction. As your understanding deepens, your relationships also begin to improve. You become less reactive, more patient, and more thoughtful in communication. You stop expecting perfection from others because you recognize the complexity of their internal world. This reduces unnecessary conflict and builds stronger emotional connections based on understanding rather than assumptions. Psychology also helps you break free from automatic thinking patterns. Many people live their entire lives on emotional autopilot, repeating the same mistakes, attracting the same problems, and reacting in the same ways. But when you become aware of these patterns, you gain the ability to change them. You stop being controlled by your past and start actively shaping your future. Most importantly, this knowledge gives you emotional independence. You are no longer easily shaken by external opinions or situations because you understand the deeper reasons behind behavior, both yours and others. This creates inner stability, confidence, and clarity. In the end, learning psychology is not just about understanding human behavior. It is about mastering your own mind. And when you gain that mastery, every area of your life begins to transform naturally and permanently. Conclusion of the above paragraphs. In the end, all of these psychological truths lead to one powerful realization. Human behavior is not simple, random, or meaningless. It is shaped by unseen emotions, past experiences, and deep subconscious patterns that quietly guide every action and decision. When you begin to understand this, your entire perception of life changes. You stop reacting quickly and start observing deeply. You stop judging people harshly and start understanding their hidden struggles. And most importantly, you stop living on emotional autopilot and start becoming more conscious of your thoughts, choices, and reactions. This awareness is not just knowledge, it is transformation. It gives you the ability to handle relationships with maturity, face challenges with clarity, and respond to life with emotional control instead of impulsive reactions. You begin to see that every person is fighting battles that are not always visible, including yourself. Ultimately, psychology is not just about studying others, it is about mastering yourself. And when you gain that mastery, you don't just understand human behavior, you rise,